Welcome to Two Guys.
Hey, Gil.
And an MBA.
Trump is back. Trump's
Oh
back,
God.
baby, and he signed all the executive orders on day one.
I mean that guy, man. I mean, even I am just like enough with the Trump. I mean, my God. I don't know. He's poking everybody, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just a little tired. Trump fatigue syndrome.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. It's from both sides, those that love him, those that hate him. Trump, he just commands attention, and some of the predictions we had did come true. What did I say? It wasn't going to be tariffs on day one.
Right.
No
Yeah.
tariffs on day one, because then what's he going to do? What's he going to talk about for 3 months and hang over uh, your former prime minister's, head?
It's funny. You see all these mechanisms, economic, political, societal, but Trump and Canada is based on his hatred of Justin Trudeau. It's like a personal thing that trickles into policy, right? He
Yeah.
hates him because I think he backstabbed him once at I don't know, some G7 meeting, and that was it. Uh, all out hatred. But we'll see. We got a new prime minister coming in this year.
What do you think of there were the oligarchs behind him at the inauguration, Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg. And I had an interesting conversation this morning with family. They were complaining and they were blaming Trump for the oligarchy. And I had to remind them, Trump didn't create Citizens United in 2010 that, basically deregulated campaign spending. Trump didn't create neoliberalism. Trump didn't create the loss of the middle class since the 1980s and Reagan and all that. Say what you will about Reagan, but like these were long trends. Trump didn't create the labor shortage that started in the late 1970s after stagflation. Trump didn't, because American history was 200 plus years of labor shortage. That's why every generation was doing better than their parents, and all of a sudden that changed due to primarily globalization and technology. Trump didn't do that.
Except slavery. Slavery,
Except,
you had a
well,
lot of
yeah,
it.
that too, right?
Right?
Right.
Free labor for hundreds of years. Well, you know what? Not
Well,
bad.
there's a long history of poor whites in America of
Right.
being pushed into toward the Appalachians, away from the industrialized cities in the East, and without going through all of American history, and which intermingles with Canadian history, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Trump, these are long trends. These are patterns that happened when Trump was still, snorting cocaine in, grad school or whatever he was doing,
Maybe.
maybe,
Maybe.
definitely.
So there's this metric that I read. It's called the misery index. And the misery index was this index they used to measure the misery of the people. And it was a simple metric where they used unemployment and inflation, and it's just not complicated. And
Okay.
then they're saying, well, because inflation's high and unemployment is high, people are miserable. Therefore, it informs their political decision making. Uh, but then they refined it because there seemed to be no correlation.
Mm.
My point to this all is that he's got this natural instinct for misery, what the actual people. So what they added to the misery index was the price of gas, your mortgage payments, things that are on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he governs. It's like I can feel the majority of people, you said Appalachian, are struggling here. And other politicians look at these numbers that don't make any sense. Like Kamala Harris was looking at metrics that made no
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
for her to address the concerns of America. I don't, she lived in a bubble. They all do. A lot of Democrat. I'm a Democrat, by the way. I just want to, for the fans out there, I'm a Democrat.
Oh,
But
I was a Bernie supporter in 2016. I'll go on the record.
listen, I am a liberal Democrat, although I don't think the people representing the party represent my values anymore because
Yeah.
they're not in touch with it.
Yeah.
They move from campuses to conference rooms. They never have life experience. They don't know anything about gas prices or mortgages. They have a very you know distant relationship to the things that matter to people, and that's what Donald Trump has done. And it's not to be a genius. It's
Yeah.
just to know where you're looking, and that's
I think people, what draws them to Trump is authenticity. We had that in one of our courses in grad school and MBA, is authentic leadership. Although
right.
he lies like crazy. I mean, you can fact check him in real time sometimes, and it's like off the charts. He'll just say this, and you'll be like, "What?" he said something about coal one time, and I was like, wait. And I Googled it like immediately, 2 seconds later. Like that's just fabrication. He's just trumpeting, trumpeting,
Yeah.
he's just trying to get the attention, but he does it authentically. Like you're saying, people feel like they can relate to him. I guess this kind of calls back to George Bush, George W. You can have a beer with him, but it's more than that. I think it's like going back to the oligarchy comment, that the oligarchy was always in the background when Obama was in, when Biden was in, when George W. was in, when Clinton was in, all the way back. The oligarchy's been there, increasingly so. And what Trump does is he just more transparent about it. He's like, yeah, I'm putting these guys behind me. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, Elon Musk is in my cabinet. Yeah, I don't care. Whereas previous presidents would have been greatly influenced by the billionaires of their time and the industrial elite, captains of industry of their time, but you wouldn't have known about it. It would be on the, on the DL. Do you ever watch House of Cards? Kevin Spacey, there was a character. Oh, you don't watch it. There's a character on there that was, I think his name was actually Tusk. Musk, right? And he's like, he's like a big billionaire, and he's always in his ear, and he's putting pressure on Frank, the character, Spacey's character, but he's not like in front of the camera behind him at the inauguration. I think that's what people value about Trump, the authenticity, the transparency, and with paradoxically as he's lying to your face, and he'll, he's lying to you, and he knows that that he's lying. You know what I mean?
It's an embellishment. It's not a
Embellishment,
bold-faced
yeah,
lie.
whatever.
It's just
Yeah,
embellishment. It's funny. You talk about oligarchy, and we're talking about America, but America was founded by seven white guys. Uh, an
yeah,
oligarchy,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
they
yeah,
drafted out this thing, which I think is a pretty amazing document, but it was not for black people. It wasn't for women. There's no women there, right? It's not.
yeah,
It's not for the poor. These
yeah,
are
yeah,
affluent white guys who said, "Hey," and that's what you're seeing today. And I don't think this. Look, it's what it is. It's not wrong. I'm not gonna cry over it. You got to work with what you have. So, I mean, it's not shocking there's oligarchies everywhere. That's kind of how our structure of leadership kind of falls out. So, stop whining, people. Hit
that
me up in the.
that's the thing. I think, my parents and maybe even your parents' generation is like they're seeing the reality of it for the first time. He's what did I hear the comment that Obama put a pretty face on the ugly empire, the American empire, the brutal American empire, and Trump puts you want to say an ugly face, but I'm
Orange,
saying
orange,
he,
orange face.
orange face.
Right.
He puts a real face on it.
Yes,
He's putting
absolutely.
the real face on it. Um, yeah. Not to endorse any of that, but it's just, you know,
His approval rating now is interesting because the majority of Americans agree with what he's doing.
yeah.
And if you had listened to the popular media prior, the things he said he was going to do, they showed that people didn't want that. But in fact, now that they're measuring, yeah. Please consider subscribing below.
Thank you for being with us. Please leave your comments, feedback, what you think about us, and see you in the next podcast. Bye.